Wisconsin Eye's coverage of Campaign 2014 is being brought to you by the Wisconsin Hospital Association. For over 90 years, a valued voice supporting Wisconsin hospitals in communities like yours.
Wisconsin Eye is at the Dodgeville City Hall. We're interviewing candidates in 2014 election. We're interviewing Mr. Ken Rynes. He's from Richland Center. He's a Republican in the 51st Assembly District. Mr. Rynes, welcome to Wisconsin Eye.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Wisconsin Eye appreciates the support of the Wisconsin Hospital Association, which represents more than 130 hospitals and health systems, for making these candidate interviews possible. Mr. Rynes, give us your short bio and why you're running, sir, and qualifications to run.
Well, I've been a lifelong resident of the district other than the time that I served in the military. I was in the Marine Corps 1983 to 87. I've been a small businessman for 22 years. I've been a high school softball coach, so I've worked with the education community. I served again in the Army Reserve 2007 and 2010, training troops that were going to Iraq. So I've wrote the checks to the government for 22 years as a small businessman, and I believe that it's time that people like myself step up and take action, become involved. You can't sit back and complain. It's not in my body, it's not in my style, so I've got to be doing something.
Two quick follow-up questions. Have you run for office before? Do you hold any local office now?
Not a government office. I did a statewide campaign. Well, it's been a Rynes for 12 years. I'm currently the state commander of the American Legion. I lead, there's 60,000 Legionnaires in the state of Wisconsin, and I'm the CEO right now. We have a $2.5 million budget. I've drove 27,000 miles in the state of Wisconsin in the last 10 months. So I guess I've been out and seen the state as far as experience and knowing the infrastructure, and everywhere I travel, we don't, in the American Legion we only talk about veterans issues, but when you're outside the meeting you obviously talk about other issues too, and everywhere I go it's the same. People are worried about jobs, less taxes, and less government regulation.
And what's the nature of your small business, sir?
I do plumbing and excavating. I hold 4 licenses in the state of Wisconsin, a master plumber, certified soil tester, cross control tester, and pouch maintainer or septic system maintainer license.
Let's talk, well, given your post with the Legion, let's talk about veterans issues. Now, we're all well aware of the scandal nationally at the federal level. Is the state of Wisconsin doing a pretty good job of taking care of its veterans, Mr. Rynes?
Well, I'm actually enrolled at the VA in Middleton, and out of the facilities in Wisconsin, they've got the worst report card. I believe it was a 52-day wait, where the federal is shooting for 14 days.
Yes.
My personal experiences there have always been great. And none of the facilities in Wisconsin have had the status of falsifying. There's not been any accusations that way, so that's a plus.
Right.
I can't give you the exact number, Steve, but they serve thousands of veterans every day. And for the workload that they have, veterans are fairly lucky. I can't say, personally, I can't say anything bad.
So the state of Wisconsin is doing pretty well in terms of caring for its veterans, Mr. Rynes?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about a schools issue. As you're aware, school vouchers and choice were expanded statewide with an enrollment cap of 1,000 outside the cities of Milwaukee and Racine. If you're elected, you'd be voting on the next state budget. What should be the future of school vouchers and choice, sir?
School vouchers, to me, it's kind of a privatization. It's giving parents the option to leave a school that they don't feel is adequate. We need to go back to Act 10. I believe Act 10 was the beginning of that, because Act 10 gave these local school boards the ability to remove teachers that weren't up to par, and there's not a lot of them, but it only takes one bad apple to spoil the bunch. So I don't think we've given Act 10 enough time to, for these local school boards to fix themselves.
Okay.
It's a free capital thing, But we've got billions of dollars in infrastructure already in schools around the state, and we already have open enrollment. We've already got methods in place for parents to move their kids, and so I think we've got enough methods right now that expanding school vouchers is, for me anyway, is not the way to go right now.
Would you keep the 1,000 cap?
It's in place.
Yeah.
Let's monitor it and see how it goes.
Okay. Governor Walker and the leaders of the Assembly and Senate, the federal government, as you know, is saying we'll pay the cost if you expand your MA program. We'll pay the cost at least for 1, 2, or 3 years. Was it wise or unwise for?
Wise.
Wise, sir.
You cannot, anything you're tied to the federal government to me is scary because it does not come free. There's always something tied to it. And it might be fine for 1 or 2 years, but history's proven that 3 years down the road, I mean, look at all the stuff that's going on now in the federal government with VA funding and transportation, and the list goes on and on. So my personal opinion, the farther we can be removed from federal government, the better we are. Okay.
And I should have asked this when I asked you about vouchers because it's a follow-up question. The debate over Common Core standards, do you support those, sir?
For the same reason, no, I don't, for the same reason that the federal government, the research that I've done is that the Wisconsin standards might be higher than Alabama's. So if we're linked federally to standards, in some cases it means Wisconsin would be lowering theirs, and in some cases be raising theirs. We need to allow the accountability at the state level. I'm all about state. The less we can be involved in federal, the better we are.
So you'd support the bill that got some attention in the last session that would let lawmakers decide whether recommendations of a special task force were good enough in terms of new standards.
Correct. We want local. I'm all about local regulation, local authority, local accountability. You know, there again, you've got to get involved as a local citizen. If your school board is not doing its job, then you need to run for school board, for town board, for county board. The days of sitting back and pointing fingers to me are over, and that's why I'm here.
Well, you're a leader of the Legion, and you know how important transportation programs are to southwest Wisconsin. Oh. Yet there's a projected $650 million deficit in the next 2-year budget for the Department of Transportation. Would you delay highway projects or raise taxes? Or?
Well, I'm also a Harley rider, and I can tell you
need
that
those roads.
I'm telling you, the infrastructure in some places will rattle your teeth. I'm instantly for roundabout moratorium.
No more roundabouts.
Take that money and fix the roads we have.
Okay.
We are spending too much money, and I understand the safety issues. You are never going to legislate safety. You are not. You've got to drive defensively, and unfortunately there's accidents, and it's usually, there are no mechanical accidents, it's usually there's mental accidents. And I would be for, like I said, an immediate, I don't know the impact, the dollar figure, but I know we're spending millions and millions of dollars on roundabouts, and that money could just as well be used to repave existing surfaces that are going bad.
If that wasn't enough to maintain our highway,
we need to look at a fuel tax.
Gas tax?
One thing we've got, and I'm all for different forms of energy, electric cars or whatever, but we've got to look at a way of, they're not paying any road tax, you know? So as the number of electric cars increase or dual fuel cars increase, we've got to find a way that they pay their fair share.
Does that mean you could support raising the gas tax? That hasn't been raised since, I think, 2006.
Yeah.
And what about the $75 you and I pay to register license plates?
Well, we have to have the infrastructure. And so you've got to look at ways, fair ways, uniform ways, so that everybody's paying their fair share. As far as the registration, I have heavy trucks in my business. I have multiple vehicles. Yeah, we pay our fair share of licenses and fees. And when I was in California, they had a fee that was based on the value of the car. So in order to get uniformity, if you can afford to drive a Lexus, maybe your registration, and I agreed with it, maybe your registration should be more than somebody that can only afford a $1,500 car.
Okay. The recent debate over same-sex marriage, you're well aware of Judge Crabb's ruling saying that our constitutional prohibition is unconstitutional. Your reaction, sir?
The state needs to get out of it completely. All this has brought up in my mind is how many inequalities that we really have in the fact that the marriage tax credit, all these years we've had it, is really an inequality to single people. The point of 18-year-olds not being able to have a beer, yet dying for their country, is a travesty. That's an inequality. But it's always, our society's based on the squeaky wheel gets the grease, you know, and who stands up and gets in front of the cameras and yells the loudest is going to get Madison's attention. So the whole system is laced with inequalities. I think that the state should just get out of the marriage business completely.
And that means if same-sex couples want to wed, you're fine with that?
You can't legislate morality. You can't legislate safety. We need less regulations, less everything.
What about the area? Are there frac sand mines in this district, sir? Is it an issue?
It's an issue.
In the 51st?
Yeah, it's an issue along the Wisconsin Riverway, and
do we have enough rules and regs on those frac sand mines, or do you think we have too many?
Well, I'm always thinking we're having too many. I think frac sand mining should be a township and county issue. If the township and the county want to have frac sand mining in their area, then they should be able to do it.
Okay.
To me, I've driven by the frac sand mines in my travels around the state, you know, up in the Eau Claire area and around there, and those semis are rolling around the clock, and there's the debate on they're ruining the roads, and well, you know, but every gallon of fuel they're burning, if the math is done right at Madison, the damage they're doing going down the road should be covered by the fuel tax that they're paying. And I'm all about free capital, and all I see when I drive by there is I see jobs. And I see, we have the debate on people saying that, well, it's going to ruin our beautiful Wisconsin. Well, I happened to stop in Red Granite yesterday, and it's an old mine, but it's one of the premier scuba diving spots in the Midwest. And I stopped by there yesterday, and there was two gentlemen coming out scuba diving from Illinois, and they love it. All these mines will be remediated. They'll be fixed. They can become recreation areas. So you've just got to have a future. You've got to be able to see beyond tomorrow. Everywhere we go in my district, there's mines. There's non-metallic mines. The roads we drive on, the concrete in our homes. Everything around us comes from mining, and people need to realize that. So you've got to have it. We just as well do it safely, have a future goal, remediate, fix, repair, and support the economy.
Thank you. Two candidates for Attorney General say first offense drunken driving should be a crime. Your position on that, sir?
I'm all about once is a mistake, twice is your problem. So I would say no.
Okay. Another issue in the Capitol, Democrats want to raise the minimum wage. Your response?
I go back to when I turned 16. I think I like the KISS, the keep it simple, stupid method. I think the minimum wage should possibly be tied to the average cost of fuel. You know, when I was 16 years old, gas was $1.20 and the minimum wage was $3.10. So if we go on a percentage, we could do an annual adjustment ratio on, you know, because everything that you raise, if you require businesses to pay more, it's a trickle down. People that purchase are going to pay more. You're going to pay more for your fast food, your fuel, you know. The money has to come somewhere, and it's always a big circle. So if you raise the minimum wage, you've got to be prepared that those same people you're giving more money now will have less purchasing power when they go out to live their daily lives. I would say a little 10-10, no. But we could tie it to something, an economic indicator, that it fluctuates so that they stay in the same norm. It's not about, these jobs were not designed for people to make a living at. They're entry-level jobs. We need to get the $15 and $20 an hour jobs so that people can actually afford to raise a family.
Okay. Just a couple more questions. One of them is there any major campaign issue that you're running on that I haven't asked about, sir?
No, you've kind of hit them all. Okay. It's just we need economic impact around here, and we need jobs. People generally are disconnected from government, you know, and I was guilty of it for a long time. They're disconnected. You know, they don't even realize what they pay in income tax because it's already taken out before they get their check. They only know the net that they're taking home. And if they knew what they were paying every month, they'd probably, if they had to total it up and write that check at the end of the year of what they paid in income tax, they'd probably be a little more vocal about it, like property taxes. I think that's one of the issues. We need property tax reform so that people can afford to stay in their homes.
How would you change property tax system? Just quickly.
I'm all about uniformity, so I think we need to look at shifting some of it to the, number one, getting rid of a lot of the programs so that every taxable acre in Wisconsin is paying, and number two, shift some of it to the sales tax where, to me, that's more uniform. There again, it gets back to the people that can afford a Lexus are going to pay more in sales tax because they're paying more here. The $1,500 car owner is not impacted as severely. So it's a sales tax.
Would you consider raising the sales tax if you could offset some of the property tax?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then finally, because the 51st is an open seat, there's a lot of candidates. Do you want to highlight any differences between you and your primary opponent, sir?
Well, I kind of summed it up in the beginning. I honestly believe that I have the broadest range of experiences, from working in the school district to self-employment to military issues to, you know, being a veteran of the Cold War and Iraq, Afghanistan, and just a well-rounded, we are all a product of our past. So none of us that are in the Republican primary or the Democrat running, none of us have had a state level position. So you've got to judge on past experiences, and I just think I bring the broadest range of past experiences.
Very good. Ken Rynes of Richland Center is a Republican candidate in the 51st Assembly District. The primary is August 12th. Mr. Rynes, thanks for talking to Wisconsin Eye.
Thanks for doing what you do. I enjoy Wisconsin Eye.
Thank you, sir.